Okay, so thank you, Rebecca, so much for coming and taking the time to talk. Just for people who have no idea what your film is about, do you mind giving an overview of what it is and also where it came from as well?
Yeah, so I'm the director and writer of Fume. It's a sort of short drama about two people in a relationship and their relationship breaking down, and exploring the idea of those unsaid things. So it features around a poem basically that they say to each other, but they're not really speaking to one another, they're speaking externally to us. So it's the idea that we don't always say the truth in relationships, and actually they're on the same page and both want to end this relationship, but because they're too afraid to kind of put themselves out there, as a result they're sort of staying in this horrible relationship and being kind of unhappy basically.
Oh, I'm so glad that's the topic of your film, because I'm obsessed with like my kind of key content area, or like media or film or whatever, is about like human connection, and how a lot of people aren't actually that genuine and honest, even though we love someone, like, and that makes it even less so. So that's really, really good to know. Where did the idea come from?
Well, I was having some own difficulties in my relationship, but as you do, but actually we're fine and we've come out the other side. But yeah, it was just the idea that even within our relationship, we were kind of like sort of being a different version of ourselves to each other, and actually when we kind of exposed our own problems, it was a lot better. So it's just about people being more open about who they are and their identity. And I think actually the last few years, you know, like I've had to deal with the fact that I've always been autistic, but I've actually really taken ownership of it in the last few years, and I think part of this film kind of shows that as well, that kind of authenticity to be yourself and not be afraid of showing your true persons or your kind of faults and whatever, your struggles, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's so connected to the film, which is brilliant. When you were kind of writing or even producing or whatever, any stage that you were at, even watching it now, do you learn things from your own?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've learned so much. So the first draft of this film was not the final draft of this film. It's a completely different concept. I wrote it more of a horror piece to begin with, and it was set in modern times. Now it's set in a sort of a gothic time period, but it's kind of a questionable time period. You don't really know the aspect of time, which I like about the film. But also just things that I learned along the way. Like I'd never directed before, so like what makes a good shoot, like things on the day took a lot of time to start, and I think if I was to do it again I'd be way more organised and getting things out quicker, but because these things happen, you know, we were trying to block out light and things like that, and then even in like the post-production process, we'd shot the film in one day basically. That was all the time that I had because I had no budget, billing resources to like friends to kind of make it and act in it. But then afterwards I was like, it doesn't feel experimental enough as I want it to be. I want it to be almost like a Stephen Burkoff kind of like bizarre play almost. And so we then filmed an additional day where I was just burning things in my garden to kind of go with the aesthetics of the theme of like a destroyed relationship essentially. So yeah, things you sort of can pick up things as you go along, but having watched it after so much time now, there's things I do differently, like I might change the camera, do different lenses, things like that. I might change some of the scripting and stuff, but overall I'm actually really happy with how it's come out, because we had no budget, you know, we did it in one day pretty much with everything against us, and you know, I'm just really thankful for the team to kind of come together and help me with my first project really.
That's so good, because the amount of times I do interviews and do Q&As, and I hear like the biggest thing is, oh, I changed this and this and this and this, and now I watch it and I see all these things wrong with it, and it kind of takes away from the fact like this was incredible when you did it at the time, and with everything against you, like that is such an achievement. So it's really nice that you have that awareness and you're able to see that.
Yeah, because you could be pessimistic about films, we all can be, you know, like about our experiences, but actually it's just learning to do better from them, and I think it's like looking at the positives, you know. So much was against us. I had to fund it myself, and I literally had no money because I've got a family and kids and stuff. So everything, what I tried to do is like feed the crew on the day, and then I had to, you know, I did pay for a colorist and I did pay for sound design, you know, but pretty much everything else people gave up their time for. So I can't really be begrudging at that, because actually what's come out of it is like, we've put something out there that works, you know, under all those kind of constraints. And we've done the best that we can with it. I mean, I saw some absolutely amazing films today, like some really great films, But you could see like the difference where they've had massive crews and much more thrown at it and more opportunity, and that's great. So I think actually I'm really proud of that, what we've managed to accomplish with like very little. So yeah, I'm grateful for the team, like I said, because I couldn't have made it without them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What would you say to people who have no budget, no team, no nothing, like what, and they're just too scared to make it, or they have all of these reasons not to? What would you say to those people?
Make films. Yeah, that's what I would say. Just don't worry about budgets as such. Just try and make stuff. You know, I've been working in Greenwich as a teacher and in education for like the past 15 years or so, maybe even more than that. And I always say to my students, if they're interested in film, just go out there, get your iPhone and make. And you know, and I was saying it to them, but I wasn't putting it into practice. And so I'm really proud of myself that I've actually gone out and done that now. I mean, I've always worked in films, so like I've been an editor for donkey's years doing stuff, and I only started writing in the last 5 years, and it's something I will continue to do. I don't know if I'll necessarily direct again, I'm possibly might, but I just think make films, you know, there's no point of like holding back, just try it. That's all the great directors say, go out there and just make stuff. You learn from your mistakes, that's what this time is to learn from your mistakes essentially. You make all the mistakes you can so that when you are the next great director, you can be like, well, look at all these bad films I've done beforehand, and then.
What do you say to people who are scared of making if it's not high quality? You know, what's the trade-off? What's the balance? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, not everything's going to be high quality every time, you know, but you learn each time something else. You know, I've looked at not the mistakes I've made, but like. I've looked at this film and think, what can I do better next time? And you do grow as a filmmaker, but if you don't start with something, you don't get anything, you know? It's like a flower that needs to blossom. It's going to start as a stem and grow, you know? If you don't make stuff and don't try, then you're not going to get anything as a result. So just give it a go. And yeah, even if you've got no budget, what makes a film is the story. I think the story is the most important thing in a film, because if you haven't got a good story and it's not believable characters, then we're not going to believe in the rest of the film. Do you know what I mean? It could, you know, you could shoot something on. I'm not begrudging the iPhone, but you could shoot something and it could look amazing on a big camera, but the story's rubbish. Then we're not going to believe in it. Whereas if you shoot an amazing story on an iPhone, perhaps, you know, we're gonna enjoy it because the story is what audiences crave at the end of the day. That's the number one thing.
Yeah, it's what they carry. Yeah. Oh, that's really good to know. Thank you. And what's next? Where is this film at the moment? Is it in other festivals? Like, where do you want to go with it? And what's next for you after this film as well?
Well, it's going to other film festivals. I don't know how it's going to do because it's a really personal film to me, I think, and it's quite a Marmite film. It is one of those ones whether you're going to like it or not, and that's okay. It's not for everybody. But for me, I'm going to carry on doing my editing, as I like to do. I'm going to carry on writing, and I have already written my next script to direct at some point, but it does need a bit of a budget because it's a bigger project. So we're going from something that's now 8 minutes to now a 15-minute film. So totally different kind of vibe as well.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever do a feature?
I don't know. Maybe edit a feature first, and then let's see. I have actually been editing a feature, collaboratively editing a feature that's due to hopefully come out next year or in the end of this year. So that's exciting. Yeah, and I wrote that as well, parts of it. So little bits at a time, and eventually you'll do the whole thing. That's it. Yeah, exactly. It's just walking, baby steps.
Yeah. Oh, well, honestly, it's been so great to hear everything you've been sharing as well. And I hope it inspires someone. Like, that's the aim. Get out there, make. Yeah. You know. There we go. And is there anything else you want to share?
No,
before we close off?
No, that's it.
Make. Okay.
Yeah, make good films. Yeah, make good films.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much.
No, that's all right. Thank you.
Yes, and you. Okay, not and you. Nice.